I can't believe I'm about to tell this story, but my therapist at one point in her office, I can't remember when this was, she got remember the art paper that came on rolls and you could make it as long as you wanted it to be, right?
Yes.
So she got a piece of this paper and put it on the floor, and I was supposed to draw a life-size drawing of me. Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I hope you can hear the excitement in my voice and the giant smile on my face. You guys, today is a landmark episode for us. This episode marks 1 year of Salad with a Side of Fries. And with this celebration, we have a special episode for you. However, I have to start with one thing. And I just have to share my overflowing gratitude for each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in each week. Thank you for sharing your favorite moments of each episode, for sharing your successes after implementing lessons you've learned from us. And above all, thank you for trusting us to guide you and help you navigate this crazy world of wellness. I mean, please know you are always the number one priority as our audience and listeners. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I just overflowing gratitude and appreciation. All right. Our plan for today is something that many of you have actually asked for. Today, we have a special guest who is here to interview me. I'm blushing. Yay! This is so funny to have, right? Traci DeForge is the host of Journey to There podcast, which explores the intersection between personal and business growth. Traci's 25-year professional career reflects a combination of broadcast media, executive management, and Fortune 500 business consulting. This powerful combination led to her founding Produce Your Podcast, a premier podcast consulting and production agency. Traci is recognized as an international podcast expert, sought-after speaker, and media contributor. She's been featured on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, CTV, Fortune.com, American Express Open, and is a contributor for Inc.com, and is now also appearing on Salad with a Side of Fries. More than all, though, Traci is a true gem, and I am honored to call her a mentor and a friend. So, Traci, thank you for being here. Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries.
Well, thank you. And I have said this to you so many times, but I'm going to say it to your listeners as well, that you by far have my most favorite podcast name in the universe. And that says a lot because I am affiliated with a lot of podcast names. And so it is actually my pleasure to be a guest on your show. And afterwards, I think we just need to eat a salad with a side of fries, my favorite meal.
Absolutely, right? I think that's why we're friends, because that's our favorite meal.
Exactly. And we love podcasting.
Right. That's so quickly to start off, we want to let our members know what they're getting this week. Members, in honor of our 1-year episode, you are getting 2 recipes this week. One for kohlrabi fries. Kohlrabi is a veggie in the same family as broccoli and cabbage, which means it's a great source of vitamins and minerals, and even better when we can make fries out of it. And the second recipe is for chickpea chocolate chip cookies. So here's why this is fitting. So I almost called this podcast French fries and cookie dough, because those are the 2 things that I will never give up. So now, after 1 year, I'm sending our members recipes for kohlrabi fries and chickpea cookie dough, or really chickpea chocolate chip cookies. So you're welcome. So here's the deal. You have to be a member to receive these goodies in your inbox. Go now, run to your web browser, type glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. And here's the rundown. For just $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners, plus access to live Q&A sessions with me. It's seriously a bargain. I mean, at $10 a month, we call it a no-brainer and basically free when you take advantage of the full offerings. So this is a really simple way to take action towards your health and to show yourself that your health is a priority. Remember, all you have to do is go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries or click the link in the show notes. Once there, you click support now, enter your email, payment method, and click subscribe. You're all set to get this week's kohlrabi French fries and chickpea cookie dough. All right. And Traci, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So, Jenn, I get to be in the interview seat today for your podcast and your podcast listeners. I'm going to try not to ask you too many curveball questions, but we are definitely going to have a little fun. What I think people would like to know first and foremost is, why did you start your podcast, Salad with a Side of Fries?
So it's funny because people think that, I just started doing this and I had this idea for a podcast, and a few weeks later it was up and running. The reality is I've been working with clients since late 2007. So this whole idea of the podcast started from, I knew I was going to be leaving my full-time job. And what do I do with extra time but fill it, right? And I also had started becoming a more avid listener to podcasts. And I was like, I could do this. But then I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about. And I started listening to podcasts in a handful of different spaces to kind of see where I had something unique to offer. And in the wellness category, I felt like there was something missing. A lot of the ones that I listened to were people's stories, which was great, but maybe they didn't have real science to back it up. And sometimes what worked for somebody else isn't what we need to work for us. And there were others, it was sort of just like a snooze fest. I was listening while walking and I left the podcaster, 3 blocks back. So I thought, I'm going to take what I enjoy from the podcast that I listen to and put it into this wellness space.
Which is wonderful. And you make such an amazing contribution to this space as a nutritional expert, and by putting your perspective and other experts' perspectives out there through your podcast. Take us back before you even started down this path of nutrition and wellness consulting and content creation, and tell us, what was your defining moment when you said, I want to make a difference in health and wellness and make an impact for people by doing that through health and wellness? What was your your defining moment that brought you to this place?
Yeah. So it was kind of a couple things coming together. For my own health, I grew up the skinny one in a family of dieters, and that was amazing until that went away. And when that happened, I was like, okay, I know what to do, right? Right? Like, I know I try all these diets and this is what you do. And so I jumped on that roller coaster that many of us know so well. And it was years. In that process, whatever diet I was following at the moment. And I remember seeing people who were following this program 6 months later, a year later, and they were telling their stories. And I noticed 2 things. One was they were keeping the weight off. And 2, those people who lose a ton of weight and they look like they've lost a ton of weight, like their skin is sort of hanging. None of these people look like that. None of these people look like that. This woman was telling her story of having lost like 150 pounds. And I'm looking at her, mind boggled, because I can't even see where 10 pounds would have been, let alone the equivalent of another human attached to her, So,
right.
So I was like, okay, there's something to this. And I followed the program and it completely changed my life. Is the only thing that's allowed me to say I've kicked my food issues, because it is this nutrition education that we were never taught. And the crux of it is actually that when I started from understanding how foods impact our bodies, how our body processes food, the mental part of our food drama was way easier to shift. And a lot of times we come at this thinking, I know what to eat. I just have to shift the mind part of it. And it really all works together and it really is science. And so that's really where I was like, okay, everybody needs to know this information. Simultaneous to all of this, I was working full-time in a job that I was overqualified for, and I was bored. I was like, there has to be a better way. My parents both worked for themselves, throughout my life. And so I was also looking for something to do on the side to make some extra income. And so the two things sort of collided. I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do.
Well, my kudos to you in both areas, coming from somebody who has never been able to stick to a diet, but has probably tried about 150 million of them. And gratefully have been blessed to a degree with a pretty good metabolism to escort me along the way of all the things that I've tried. and the flip side of that, which is actually really just as important, is congratulations for the courage, willingness, and strength to go out on your own, to create a platform where you saw a niche that needed to be filled, and to have the tenacity and determination to make that your own. And both of the discipline and creativity and commitment that it takes to both have a focused career in the health and wellness space, as well as being a role model for women entrepreneurs. Those things, neither of those things are easy, because in both situations, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk for your authenticity factor. And I would imagine, because I stay as far away as from the health and wellness consulting space as possible, because walking the walk and talking the talk in that business category would be extremely difficult for me, especially since my lunch before we just started doing this podcast was potato chips and a half of a Twix bar. So that just goes ahead and shows you where my head is right now. It was the quickest thing I could find.
Honestly, we all got to do what we got to do. I hear you, but thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
So now I'm going to ask you, and I'm willing to share the answer to this question too, but I want you to share it first. What is the wackiest diet trend, fad, or creation of your own that you've tried in your life?
Okay, so I don't know that I really created anything on my own. Like, I thought everybody else had all the answers. So I think craziest one, my dad, if I remember correctly, my dad, my sister, and I all did this one. And it was called, we called it the 40-30-30 diet. And it was supposed to be 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat, each eating like a can of beets along with a whole bunch of things that each meal. I mean, it was a very strange concoction of foods. I have no idea if it actually worked or not. And the other one that I thought of when you asked this question is I made a rule for myself at one point that was, I'm just not going to eat food that comes in a bag. Like, if you go through the grocery store, there is nothing nutritious that is sold solely in a bag. And so I was like, okay,
but what about
that's
salad?
a weird thing. Right. Well, now that's a thing. I feel like when I was growing up, nobody really bought salad in a bag. It was like you bought lettuce.
Okay. Just wanted to get the time frame in mind there, because I was like, wait a second, if you buy salad in a bag, isn't that healthy? But actually sometimes it isn't. So
right. Like, when I buy salad in a bag, I'm usually not using all the extra things that come in it.
Well, I mean, you mean the good stuff, like the cranberries and the
right.
and the almond slivers and the blue cheese dressing, those things.
Every once in a while, a little dried cranberries in my salad, almonds, avocado, and cheese. Cheese can make a salad way more satisfying.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Along with all of those other things. And then you're basically having your full calorie count for the day in one salad, right? Those Cobb salads are kind of tricky, aren't they?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't really care about the calories. And I don't think you need to either, because it's more about what the calories are made of. Because you guys all know this, I say it all the time, but like calories in, calories out was a giant myth. In theory, it's right, but it doesn't take into account the quality of the calories.
I'm really liking this pathway you're walking down right now, except for I'm just a little hesitant about the evaluating the quality of my calories based on what I just shared that I ate for lunch. But I do like your thought pattern. Okay, so we've gone wacky. Well, I guess I should share mine too, just for the sake of pure humor at this point. So when I was a freshman in high school, and that, we're women, we're body conscious. Unfortunately, it starts really young, which is a big soapbox of mine, which I'm glad you're addressing because you're educating people at all levels of their body image and nutrition process. And I think that's such a beautiful thing about your podcast. And so when I was 14 or 15, is like when you really, I guess for me, that's when I really started to be super conscious. So I had two extreme, and also everyone should know that I do everything all or nothing. I don't see a lot of gray in my behavior. That's my own issues. I'm aware of them. So during the summer before my freshman year of high school, I did an egg salad diet, which at the time actually was pretty progressive because nobody knew about the no carb situation. So I did it by accident, but I would only eat egg salad for lunch, period. That I wouldn't eat breakfast. I would only eat egg salad for lunch. Don't ask me why I got fixated on egg salad because I cannot tell you. And I did 100 sit-ups every single day. And yes, that was just nuts. That's the wackiest thing I've ever done in terms of nutrition. So
how long did you keep
and I just
that
have
up?
to say I think I went, pretty much, I remember it as being the whole summer, but here's the thing connecting back to the body image conversation is that I was so skinny before I even did that my mom, I was like a 0, right? And my mom in some cases had to alter my clothes. And here I'm thinking that I'm just like this, going to be the biggest person in the freshman class. And it couldn't have been further from the truth, but my own body image, and like you were saying, so much about diet and fitness and nutrition is the mental shift in the mental perspective. My mental perspective was really off. And I started this down the road as this being a humorous thing for us to laugh about. But in retrospect, as I'm sharing it, I realized, no, it really is not that funny.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. I remember, this body dysmorphia stuff. And I can't believe I'm about to tell this story, but my therapist at one point in her office, I can't remember when this was. She got remember the art paper that came on rolls and you could make it as long as you wanted it to be, right?
Yes.
So she got a piece of this paper and put it on the floor, and I was supposed to draw a life-size drawing of me. From head to toe, I had to draw myself in real size on this giant piece of art paper. And you could see I drew myself like a linebacker. I had these crazy broad shoulders and, straight down, like the size of, a 250, 300 pound football player. And it was just so interesting to see the difference between what I thought I looked like and then what actually was when she traced me, on top of each other.
I'm very rarely speechless, but first of all, I applaud your therapist for being so intuitive and having you have that opportunity, because that had to be so impactful for you to see the difference between how you thought you looked and how you actually really did look, and be able to have that literal diagram, if you will, or drawing of yourself. I mean, when you stood and stepped back away from that, what were your feelings? What did you think at that point?
I think it was just whoa, wow, maybe I really don't see things clearly. It was such a visceral, tangible way of seeing the dysmorphia and recognizing it.
I think I can't even think of anything more powerful that would make that big of a difference, because people can tell you all day long, that whole thing, you can never be too rich or too thin. It's that's not a healthy thing to say to people, because yeah, you can be too thin. But when your brain is going in that way and you're getting all that gratification off of people saying, "Oh, you look great. You're so skinny. You look great," and then that just feeds that dysmorphia in a way because you're looking in the mirror and seeing something different. But then when people are telling you that, it's feeding that low self esteem, and so it makes you want to continue on the cycle of maybe even choosing, more unhealthy behaviors to stay that skinny. And it's just like this constant cyclical, toxic circle, if you will, and being able to break that circle with a literal drawing where, I mean, if that had been a gift that had been given to me, because I do consider that a gift in your therapist process, I think I would have taken it home and hung it on my bathroom wall and just been like, no, it's not this, it's this.
Right. Honestly, I know I took it with me, and I'm sure it is somewhere in my dad's house. I should look for it next time I'm there.
You may not want to look for it now because it may not be the same. Cannot believe I just said that. Here in this whole heartfelt moment of body dysmorphia, I'm like, well, don't get the one where you were skinnier then than you are now. No, leave that thing behind.
But here's the whole thing.
Okay, well,
I will say though, my continued health and progress is that the truth is it's more about our health than the size of our bodies. And there are a lot of people out there who are technically would qualify as obese, who are plus size people, who are healthier than people who look like the model of what you think the goal would be. And that's where the term skinny fat came from, right? And so there's really so much more to this than we're led to believe when we look at social media and we look at ads in magazines or on TV and all that stuff. It's such a contribution to this confusion.
Well, I'm really glad that you transitioned out of my crassness into this topic because I think that the media is vicious and cruel when it comes to this. And it's 2020. And I often just sit back and go, why are we still being photoshopped? Why are we still having unrealistic and unattainable images thrown at us through social media? Why are the idea of having breast implants in high school and plastic surgery with the celebrity influencers, making it look like it's just a walk in the park to go in and have a little liposuction at lunch? What can we do as individuals that can make our own ripple effect and make our own ripple impact that can, at least start to ripple and start to impact some level of change about what we're swamped with the media every day?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I wish I had a simple answer. I think it's so loaded. I mean, it starts, like I said, mentally health, right? Deciding that health is our priority over the aesthetics. And that's certainly challenging. I think being really aware of the conversations we have with ourselves and the conversations we have out loud. If you're in a home with kids, they are listening. And so it's really important that we start to focus on how strong we are, how smart we are, how all of these other things make us beautiful. And no matter what size we are beautiful. That your body is amazing. The things that our body does when we aren't thinking about it, the fact that we don't have to think to breathe or think to make our heart beat or think to digest our food or all these things, that it just happens automatically. The more I learn, the more I am blown away about the human body. And I think if we can start to have that appreciation, that can snowball and start to take that ripple.
And I love how you said that it starts in the home, because it's so true. If you're a mom and you have a daughter and you're constantly putting yourself down out loud, then what that message sends, then whatever age, even super young, if they're hearing that and they're filtering that information, then there's like, well, mom feels this way about her, and so maybe I'm supposed to feel that way about me. Whereas what you're saying is extremely powerful if you are just restating, whether you're saying it inside to yourself, I am beautiful, I am kind, I am smart, and I can make a difference in the world. I use that because I've known mothers who actually coach their children to say that from the time they start speaking, and I just think that's so amazing. But back to this particular situation with the learning by, they are listening and they are watching and they are, in some cases, just going through the motions of behaviors, not even understanding what impact it's even having on themselves, because it has become a learned behavior. So I think it's great that you're pointing that out. And I do think, like with most things, it does start with radical acceptance and awareness. And radical acceptance is probably really, really the hardest part. However, being aware of your behaviors I always say, being aware of your behaviors is the easiest way to start to change your behaviors. Because if you don't even know you're doing it, then you're not going to be able to enact change. So I love that you said that.
Okay, quick pause for a message from our partner for this episode, Lumiere de Vie Skincare. Lumiere de Vie Skincare was founded by Amber Ridinger McLaughlin in response to her own experience of mere marginal results from countless costly creams. She realized the revitalization of her youthful skin could only occur if she developed products herself. Working closely with beauty scientists and exploring the most advanced ingredients derived from the earth and sea, Amber created Lumiere de Vie, the next generation of skincare. The extensive line of luxury skincare products is designed to address all skin types and concerns, including uneven texture or tone, dryness, and fatigue skin. With the highest quality natural ingredients and powerful formulas that help heal, soothe, moisturize, and protect, Lumiere de Vie acts as first aid for your skin. The result? Rejuvenated, luminous, beautiful-looking skin. And guys, you know why Lumiere de Vie is our partner? Because I use their products myself, and I will never recommend anything to you that I don't use myself and recommend to my clients. So when people ask me about my skin, it's really because of two things. One, quality nutrition, duh. And two, Lumiere de Vie. So seriously, it's time for you to experience this too. To get 10% off your order, text the word SKIN, SKIN, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word SKIN to 844-947-4846 to try Lumiere de Vie Skincare and get 10% off. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply.
So speaking of authenticity and more insightful questions and answers, I think it's time for us to move into the rapid fire part of the podcast and have a little fun. What do you think?
These are the questions that I ask everybody, right?
These are the questions that you ask everybody, but the tables, my dear, are being turned on to you today.
Right. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, don't be nervous. Here we go. Jen, what's the best thing you've done for your health this week?
Oh boy, definitely having groceries in the house, because as you guys know, I used to be the takeout queen, but since all of this, quarantine and coronavirus came down, I am making food. So that is definitely the best thing I've done for my health this week. The other piece that I have to say is like my activity, whether I'm doing an Instagram live workout or walking along the Hudson River in the city. I've grown so attached to these walks since all of this started. So that's like my mental sanity too.
I've actually heard and read during COVID and during the quarantine that people have really used this as an opportunity. Well, actually use this as an opportunity to either get super fit and do what you've been doing in terms of taking long walks, or they've just said, to heck with it. Be, I guess, the nice podcast.
You can swear. Yeah.
I'm just going to let everything go over here and, and gain the Corona-19. So I don't, again, speaking of extremes, which I mentioned earlier, I don't really think there's been a lot of middle ground for people as far as I can tell. They've either really optimized the situation or optimized it in a way that might not be optimal, if you know what I'm saying.
And here's the thing on that, and I just have to chime in. I mean, my last group program that started, we branded around the idea of the COVID-19, okay? Having said that, whether you've chosen to use this time to focus on, being healthy and getting active, or you are doing whatever you got to do to survive, and that might include ice cream, a few times a week, like you got to do you. And if what you accomplish in quarantine is surviving a global pandemic, you're good.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that too, because it definitely comes back to that whole thing of like, if you're in survival mode, you've got to just be comfortable in the best way that you can. So thank you for recognizing that. All right. What's the naughtiest thing that I was going to say, what's the naughtiest thing you've done this week, which, you can answer that if you like, or I could say, what's the naughtiest thing you've done in regards to your health this week? You get to choose how you answer that one.
Right. So I'm going to go with the health one. So like I said, I really haven't been ordering takeout. And earlier this week was like, I need some cookies. Like I really have nothing sweet or indulgent in my apartment at the moment. So I literally ordered delivery of 4 cookies, not that far from me where I could have gone out to walk there to get them. But I ordered delivery of 4 cookies and they were amazing. And I ate them over a few days and it made me very happy.
Oh, yum. And again, kudos to you for letting them last over a few days. I'm not going to tell you how long they'd last at my house. Okay, if you were,
they were
not
big. It's not like 4 little cookies.
Oh, it doesn't matter. In my house, Okay, so if you weren't a fitness and nutrition wellness guru that you are, what would you be?
So it's funny. My background is really business and marketing. I have joked that if I had it to do again, I probably should have gone to med school, but I could also do something like in the event planning space, like a wedding planner or even like interior design. I don't know, something along those lines, maybe.
Well, I've been on a lot of Zoom calls with you, and I can honestly say that you would have made a great interior designer, but you're putting so much beauty out into the world for what you're doing. So,
thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. What's your favorite book on any topic? It can be any topic, or fiction, but it can't be in your area of expertise. So what would your favorite book be?
Oh, this is a tough one. I read a lot of like mysteries and, drama things, but one that made me laugh that I've been recommending to people the last couple of years is called Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. This kind of goes back to the other part of our conversation about like the therapy thing. So the premise of the story is this woman is a therapist. She's going through a breakup. And so it's the story of her own stuff and her with her patients. It's super funny and a great summer read.
Oh, I love it. I'm gonna have to pick that one up. Oh, I can't wait to hear the answer to this one. If you could cure one ailment, disease, sickness, what would it be?
Oh boy. It's funny. I ask this one all the time and I think about it all the time. And this is going to be a surprise. I think I come back to obesity because it is such a precursor to a lot of other illnesses and diseases. And I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like prejudice or judgment of people with different body types is the most acceptable form of discrimination that we have. And it's really, it's like a soapbox issue for me.
Yeah, I can see that. And I appreciate that and just really, want to even just sit with that for a second because what you said is so true. And we could all do, I think, if we got really honest with ourselves, we could probably all do a little bit better in that area without snap judgment on a lot of different levels in the world right now. But, that particular judgment does get overlooked. And I, again, just really appreciate that you bring that to light. Okay,
Thank
so if you were a superhero, oh, you're welcome. If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
So definitely teleporting. I think the worst part of any situation is the commute.
I just wasn't expecting that answer. It's not that it's funny. It's just that I thought you were going to say like spreading joy, inspiring change, because I think of you as doing those things. You're like teleport, like let's just get there already.
I'm not a patient person, so like that commute is an impatient thing,
It's a good thing you live in New York, so you don't really have to necessarily commute dramatically on a daily basis anyway. Okay, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, you mean other than commuting? No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Well, I was actually thinking that.
I think my biggest pet peeve is lines. I really don't, I'm not good waiting in a line, like especially when we used to shop in stores, right? To wait in line for a dressing room, like, oh no, it should not be this difficult for me to give you my money.
I just am not surprised by that based on your references to patience for the last, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. Okay.
But I will say I have tremendous patience in other things.
Well, that's okay, because what I'm hearing you say is I just like to get there, get to the point, get my make my accomplishments, get them done, and move on. So I think that's okay. Right. I consider it not a lack of patience, but a goal towards efficiency.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to adopt that instead.
Good. Okay. Last question before we wrap up. In your expert opinion, what is the next frontier in wellness?
I really think it is understanding our genetics and epigenetics and nutrigenomics, which is the interplay between genetics, nutrition, and lifestyle, and how our nutrition and our lifestyle can actually turn up and turn down the volume on our genes. And so that gets us to a place in medicine where it's precision medicine, often referred to, but there's no more guessing.
I can agree with you more. And I can't wait to see what some of the labs, the studies, I can't wait to see how, when that information starts to come out into the world, what it looks like, because I think it will, without a doubt, be a game changer. And with that is my last question for you. But I don't know if it was fun for you, Jenn, but this has been so fun for me.
So fun, Traci. I've never been on the receiving end of these questions. Traci, thank you again. I'm I'm humbled that you're here and to have you join us for this celebration. So thank you. And of course, everybody go listen to Journey to There.
Right, where we explore the intersection between personal and business growth. That was my best radio voice. Well, once again, Jenn, you are amazing. And I do think you are a superhero. So I don't think you have to get to one superpower because you have so many. And thank you so much for the opportunity and the fun factor of being able to interview you on your anniversary episode. And especially congratulations on making this podcast the best that it can be and just doing everything that it takes to make a difference in the world in the nutrition and wellness space, because every day you make a difference. And I thank you for that. And the world thanks you for that.
Well, thank you. All right, guys, we ready for this week's nutrition nugget to wrap this up? Today, we're talking about BLTs. And I know you're like, what? Bacon, lettuce, tomato? No. Those are not my BLTs. So my clients know this one. BLTs stands for bites, licks, and tastes. You know, those little things that creep their way in, especially when I'm with family and my nephew doesn't finish his chicken fingers. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But seriously, here's the deal. You know, I'm all about living life in the gray area, finding that balance, right? I'm not one to encourage you to obsess over these little things. The bite here, the lick there, a taste of that. Nevertheless, for some of us, it's the BLTs that add up. So if you listen to our episode about plateaus and you're looking back at your journal and it just doesn't make sense, right? The journal is on plan. You're checking all the boxes every day. You're really on top of it. You know what it could be? It could be the BLTs. So what do? You're going to start to track them. Again, don't obsess. No need to not have them at first because our biggest learning will come from just tracking them. So in your journal or your tracker, write BLT and note what you had, when you had it, and a little bit of the context of what was going on. Was it simply a few bites left on your kid's plate and it was sort of like, well, I'll just eat it instead of having to throw it away? Or, maybe the food was a present and you felt guilty not having any. Or someone made it, and if you didn't eat it, right, you just had a bite of somebody else's plate. Maybe, you're not all that sure why. If that's the case, that's cool. Just write that down too. In time, we'll go back and review the data. What we're looking for are the commonalities in those BLT moments. Is it always after a certain meal or a certain food that somebody else orders that we don't? Is it a certain time of the month? Perhaps you noticed that throughout the day, your fuel wasn't as even, or maybe even the day before was perhaps low on protein, right? Once you identify the pattern, you can decide if it's a habit or a behavior that you're ready to shift, because sometimes you're not, and that's okay too. I would venture to say that once identifying the pattern, it'll be much easier to shift than if we try to just white knuckle it or willpower our way through every BLT situation. Because as I've said before, and this is a conversation for another day, but even willpower is science. So now you know two things. One, the BLTs are bites, licks, and tastes that sometimes add up to more than we would like. And two, you know exactly what to do with them. If you think you're standing in your way of your goals, or the BLTs are standing in the way of your goals, track them, observe the data, and implement simple shifts to keep you on your way. As we always say, KMF, keep moving forward. So, Traci, one more time, thank you so much. As always, guys, I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Our Facebook page is at the same handle, and we want to hear from you. So DM us your questions, ideas, your takeaway videos. It's also the easiest way to reach out for more information on working with me directly or to address your personal concerns. Of course, if you're not already a member, join the membership program by going to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries to get this week's recipes, the kohlrabi French fries and chickpea chocolate chip cookies. Everybody, one more time from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support and your energy for this year of salad with a side of fries. And congrats to all of you for making yourselves and your health a priority. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.